So welcome to Cryptid Pimping course, how to mix and master. Um, so so I'll start with I undid all the mixing and shit like that, everything in here, and this is ghouls, track ghouls. Um, okay, so first of all, whenever you have a melody, right? You got the melody. It's going to have some low end in it. And it's gonna have low end in it, and that clashes with the 808 a lot of times. So you could do it like this, so you can let the shit breathe a little bit down there. Just take off some of the low end. You're really aiming for around, let's see, like 250 hertz up here. Like when you're clicking on it, you're really aiming for around here, just right around where it's low mid. Um, that's like where melodies shine. You know what I mean? Like it'll still cut through the mix and everything like that. So I'm gonna get rid of this and see, like right here, this is just a preset, one of these, and I just literally drag this over to cut out the low end. And so here's without and here's with. Now you can't really tell like a major difference like at first without the bass, but like if the bass were to be playing right now, let's see. Sorry, it sounds like shit. I don't know really how to screen record properly or anything, but like here's without, and it's got that low end kind of clashing a little bit. Maybe this isn't the greatest example, but regardless, every time I'm making a beat, the melody always gets the low end cut, no matter what, every time. Secondly, this one here, this EQ, all I did was just boost the highs a little bit just because that's what I thought it needed. EQs, you don't ever really want to go like up here. When I go back down to the EQ right up here, it'll tell you your decibel level. You don't really want to boost past 4 at most, like boost wise. When you're cutting shit out, like sometimes there's like frequencies that you don't fuck with. So like this high peak right here, you can just, and all I'm doing is turning this right here with 2 fingers. That's like the shortcut for it. So I'm cutting that, and you can make it sharper like that or wider, but you can cut out like specific frequencies, and shit like that. So that's cool. And then the limiter is just to bring it up, bring up the volume, and then the ceiling brings it lower so it sounds more fluid in one fucking motion, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it. It sounds way smoother. Like here's without, and here's with. It just kind of smooths it and makes it come all together. Also, another quick thing, on the master channel, you always want a soft clipper at the end, just a stock soft clipper. Like literally, all I did was just click it and leave it. Like I didn't touch none of these settings or nothing like that. Like everything that is just stock, and that's so that like if you are boosting shit like crazy, it doesn't clip and like fuck up the whole mix and stuff like that. It's just a safety feature, if that makes sense. Um, okay, now let's move on to, what is this? Who are you? It's the laugh. Okay. The laugh, kind of similar. similar thing here. Just take out some of the unwanted frequencies. And the idea with an EQ is you almost want to carve out space for each sound in the beat. And I threw some Blood Overdrive on it just to distort it a little bit and turn the preamp up. This shit is crazy. This plugin right here, Blood Overdrive, is so nice. So with everything together, and this RC20, this is just like a retro tape distorter plugin type shit. Now let's move on to like bass. So this, I know that looked probably fucking crazy. So the idea with the bass is I wanted more of the bassy sound than the subby sound, if that makes sense. Like, and a lot of the higher frequencies didn't sound right to me. So they just didn't sound right. And it didn't sound right. So I do this on a lot of 808s to just make the bass sound more bassy, if that makes sense. Cause like, to me, if it's got a lot of high end in a sample, like with a sample like this, you want that sample to still be able to cut through and shit. So I boosted just the bass part of it. I took down some of the sub, because I felt it was too boomy. And sometimes when I'm mixing and shit like that, I'll go out to the car and I'm like, yo, why is my shit not fucking boomy? I boosted the bass so much. You know what I mean? Like I boosted the sub. It should be subby. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're doing too much. Sometimes it's too much sub. You got to take some of it out. Just remember that. And I also just added a sound goodizer maxed out like on this. A lot of people there's a lot of memes and shit like people stacking a bunch of sound goodizers and shit like that. I don't think that's necessary like whatsoever. And yeah, it just kind of adds some saturation and shit like that. Another thing you can do is bring in a limiter and bring the ceiling up but the saturation down. And it levels it out but without hard clipping. This is more of a soft clip, and it sounds way smoother than if you were to just bring the ceiling down. It gives it like a way more, obviously a more saturated fucking sound. You know what I mean? And now we'll go on to drums. The thing I do with my drums, if you look down here on the 808, right, it's routed to the master track. For drums, you don't want that. This is the kick, right? So it's not playing to the master, it's playing to my drum bus here. For drums, this is super important because this means you can mix your drum sounds individually on these tracks, but also over here be able to give it saturation. So this is without saturation, and that's with it. I'll show a better example. For kicks, this one I just boosted the low end on it because I felt like it needed just a little more oomph to it. And then this one, I cut out 30 hertz because a lot of sound systems can't even play below 30 hertz. So for like a kick drum, it gives it a punchier feel because you're actually closing off the low end as well. For a bass, you want to leave that wide open so it can breathe a little bit. But on a kick, you want to cut some of it out. And then on the top end, I bring it down a little bit. I usually bring this in. And again, this is the same preset as before. Just scrolling through here. The 40 and 18 hertz, I literally just cut out some of the top end and then brought this to 30 hertz. And it makes it sound way punchier. Just way punchier. And hi-hats. If you can tell, on like right here where it's hitting, these hats are panned to the left a little bit. You want to give the hats space in the mix so it's not right in your face and your vocal can take up the in your face spot. You know what I'm saying? On all of my hats, pretty much all of my hats, I'm using this Fruity Stereo Enhancer. Don't ask me what the fuck it does, cause it's in this preset that I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna send you these presets that I be using. Just all this shit makes this shit so much easier. So like for the hat, literally all I do is bring this closed hat over here and it does it perfectly. Like this shit sounds so crisp. Here's without. It's pretty harsh, and all it's doing is cutting out the low end, like I said, carving space for it to sit in the mix. What we got here? This is the top end of the snare. I'll bring in both snares. Um, a lot of times you want to be layering snares. So like you got this one for the high end, and then like you see it's really living up here, it's cut off down here, like it's really living mainly up here. And then this one is mainly living in the low to mids, and this is your main snare, you know what I'm saying? Like the main punchy shit. And like it's just basic EQing and carving, like I said before. You want to boost some of that mid to give it some punch. Um, like right around here. It depends on the snare and everything like that, but I mean, with these presets, it'll sound fine. And then what do we got here? Oh, just some little perks. I just cut out space for it. You know what I'm saying? Because like the hi-hat will live here, this thing will live here with the snare, but the snare's more boosted right around here, so I let it breathe over here. And you got to be meticulous with your EQ. And so altogether, oh yeah, that's the other thing too. On your drums, on your drum bus, you want a compressor with the preset. Where is it? Drums. Literally just the drums preset, and listen to the difference that it makes. I'm not even touching any of the volume levels, but I'm just compressing them. And like if you don't like that high end, like the high sounding pitch from the hi-hat, you can just cut some of that off from the drums as a whole, so that reverb isn't breathing as much like in there. But I like it. I usually like it. I let my shit breathe. And then the RC20, it just gives it that retro sound. I'll usually throw I'll throw one of the drum break presets on, and it just adds some distortion. I like the other one. It's fire. Is drum break 1, but you gotta open it back up, and it like gives it like that digital sound. You know what I'm saying? Like it's got this digital fluctuating the bits and shit like that. Like it's cool. And now, yeah, that's okay. So that's mixing the beat, right? That's mixing. So now, when you have all of that done, right, and you have all of your shit playing together, you have your drums compressed on their own bus, you have your bass leveled and stuff. This is the important part. This right here is the key to getting loud sounding beats. So we're going to close all this out, literally close all this out, so you just have this open. On the master channel, you want to load a compressor with complete mix, and the order you do it matters too, because it goes in order of the plugins. So first And this is where you want to take off that other soft clipper too, because by then you should have shit clipped and everything like that. It should sound good. You shouldn't need the soft clipper. So start with the compressor on complete mix, right? Then you load another soft clipper underneath it. I'll even restart. I'll restart this shit. So you got the compressor, then you load a soft clipper and put the threshold down all the way, literally all the way down. Then right under the soft clipper, you load a limiter. Now, let me turn the shit on actually. And so in the limiter, you want to turn your ceiling all the way up and bring your saturation down about 2.5 decibels. And remember, we're looking right up here for how many decibels we're at. So 2.5. Right around there is where you really want like the it to saturate the best. And so if I'm playing this, right, you see these peaks right here, right at the top there? You're just gonna bring up the post in the soft clipper until it's starting to hit those peaks. Just until it's starting to hit them peaks. That gives you 2.5 decibel space for your vocal to sit in. And so after that, after you have those plugins loaded up, then you want to export the beat just like this, right? So it'll all be together, and you should already have your arrangement and everything down and stuff like that. Like it should all be fucking good. So you have your solo consolidated beat right here. Then you want to go back in the master and turn them off. Turn that stuff back off and turn the soft clipper back on. Because if you leave these on, it's just going to be redoing what you already did to get it loud. So like, let me, right over there, it's pretty loud. And if I turn this back on, yeah, you get the fucking point. It's loud as shit. Okay, and now this is more the mastering side. When you get a track, after you get your beat track, you want to send it to its own mixer track. And I'll restart it for you. Let me redo it. Just a stock EQ, go into type, low pass, bring it over to about 16.5, right around there. And then you change the order to steep 8, and that will make you a really nice high pass. And then you bring this back over because you still want these sounds. And if I didn't do that, it drops these sounds back down. So you want to bring this over and level it back up and give it just a slight little boost. Because it's cutting out sound, you want to give it some more boost so it still has like the body of it. Then from here, you can either use this patcher preset that I'll send you a link for. I'll send you like a video about that. Or without it, you can just load another EQ and figure out where your vocals sit in the mix and just bring the beat down. Literally just bring the beat down a couple decibels, like 2.5 decibels, something like that, just to give it a little more room for your vocal to sit. Because if you remember, over here in the limiter, we brought it down 2.5 decibels for saturation on the drums to let your vocals sit through. And now we go in here and let your vocals sit through even more and shine, really sit on top of the mix, if that makes sense. Because like, think about it like you're creating a seat, literally making a seat for your vocal to just sit in, like just fucking pop a squat right there. And yeah, that's how you master a track. At least that's how I do it. I'm gonna do a separate video for the vocals.